In this video, we're going to look at a few more widgets that we can create using the jQuery UI. The first one is going to be the spinner, which is just another way of inputting numeric values using the up and down buttons, and also it comes with arrow key handling. Okay, so let's create a spinner. So first we need an input. So we're just going to put everything inside a paragraph. Okay, inside our first div. So we need an input. We're going to give it an ID, my input. Okay, name, my inputs as well. Okay, and let's have an initial value for the input of 30. Let's have a label as well, saying select a value or input a value, enter a value. Okay, and the label is for my input. All right, so now to create the spinner, we need to access the inputs. In our case, we're going to access it using the ID of the input, my input, and then we're going to use a method, it's spinner. So if we save and refresh, we can see our spinner there. You can see you can use the buttons, and also you can use your keyboard arrow keys. Okay, there are a few properties we can use for the spinner method. We can set a min and max values using the min and max properties. We can set that to 0, for instance, and maximum to 100. We can also use the step property. Okay, if we set that to by default it's 1, okay, but we can set that to 3, for example. And let's check that. So now if you increase, we go up by 3, go down by 3, and the min is 0, and the max is going to be 100. But we don't go to 100 because we're actually increasing by 3. That's why we stopped at 99. Okay. Okay, so now let's move to something else. We're going to look quickly at tabs. So we're going to create tabs inside the Apple div. So, okay, so what we need, we're going to have an unordered list. Okay, and inside the list, we're going to have our list items. Let's have 3 list items. And each list item is going to contain a link. Let's add some text there. So that's tab 1, tab 2, and tab 3. Next, we are going to have a div. So each div is going to be linked to one of these links. So each of these links is going to refer to one of the divs that we're going to create. Okay. Okay, we need a link there, and we need a link there as well. Okay. So let's say the first div, we can have a paragraph inside the div, and we can write content 1. Let's copy paste the same thing, change this to content 2 and 3. Okay, so how to link the links to the divs? We're just gonna use the href attributes, and we need to link. We're gonna put the ID of the div we're gonna refer to. So each of these divs is gonna have an ID. So first one, tab 1, and then tab 2, and then tab 3. And the href is going to be the ID of each link. So first one is the ID of each div. So the first one is the ID of the first div, and then second one is the ID of the second div, and then the ID of the third div. Okay. Alright, so, and finally, we're going to need to write some code where we access the containing div of the list and the other divs, which is the Apple div. Okay, so we're going to access the containing div Apple using its ID. Okay, and then we're going to use the method tabs. Let's check out. Okay, so we can see that you've got our tabs there, and when we click on a tab, we can see the contents of that specific tab. Alright, we can change the styling of the Apple div, so we can set the height to auto so that it looks better. Okay. Okay, now let's have a look at some of the properties of the tabs method. Let's make the tabs collapsible. So at the moment we can't collapse all the tabs at the same time, so we're going to use the collapsible property, and we just need to set that to true. And if you refresh now, we can see that we can collapse the tabs. Okay, also we can make sure that we show the contents of the tab on mouse over, so we can use the property event. We can set that to mouse over. Okay, and also we can make these tabs sortable if we want to. So the way to do that is going to be by writing some code outside the tabs method. So what we're going to do, we're going to access the containing div, which is Apple, right? And then we're going to use the tabs method followed by another method, find. So this method is going to take a parameter in there, which is going to be the class UI tabs nav. Okay, so we're going to find these tabs and we're going to set them to sortable. And also we can specify inside the sortable method the axis. The axis, they're going to be sorted through, and in our case it's X. Okay, so if we try this, okay, let's make sure that we haven't got anything. Okay, we need a semicolon there. Okay, so if we do that, now we can change the positions of our tabs. Alright, now we're going to have a look at one more widget. It's called the tooltip. So when we hover on a certain element, we want to show some information about the elements. So let's say when we hover on the on this input, we just want to have a tooltip showing something about that input. So first, the element in question needs to have a title so that we can have some content for the tooltip. So our input is there, so we're just gonna add a title for the input. For example, we can say please enter a value, for example. Okay, now we need to access the input or the elements that we would like to add a tooltip to, and so in our case we're accessing the elements using its ID, my input, and we're going to use the tooltip method. Okay, now if we hover on the inputs, we can see the tooltip showing there. Okay, there are some properties we can use for the tooltip. We can add some effects using the show property. We can add an effects there by using effects, and we can set that to a few values we can choose from. One value is slide down. Okay, if we refresh, we can see the effect there. Okay, we can use explode, for instance. All right. Okay. If you want to add tooltips to all the elements, having a title, all you need to do is access the document itself and use the tooltip method. So if we do this, if we say document tooltip, okay, then all the elements having a title are going to have a tooltip, basically. Okay, so if you add a title to Microsoft, for example, okay, for example, Microsoft. So now you will see a tooltip when you hover on a Microsoft element. All right. Okay, but for now, let's just comment that.